Hi everyone, my name's Barbara. Welcome to my channel, Right in the Woods, where I share my love of journaling and stationery. If this sounds like you, I hope you'll subscribe and follow along. Today, what I thought I'd share with you is actually journaling. I have shared a lot of stationery, so today I'm going to share about journaling. And I'm going to split this up into several videos. Today I'm going to talk about like everyday journaling. I'll do another one on what I call process journaling or more therapeutic journaling. Then I will talk about harvesting your journal and whether you should keep or toss them, and maybe some ideas of what you could do with old journals. All right, so today, everyday journals. I Yes, so this is my everyday journal. Though I do have a process journal, which I write in every day. This one is just a record of each day. And some of the things that I'm going to tell you, I put in here. And sometimes I switch it up. Sometimes I do a memory. Sometimes I do a prompt, a journal prompt. Sometimes I write down a quote and state an opinion. But it's all in this everyday journal. All right, so let's talk about different ways that you could journal every day. Because one of the things I hear a lot is I just don't know what to journal. Some of these will not be new to many of you. And then I'm wondering, if you know it, why don't you do it? Because that always makes me curious. Do you not have a notebook and a pen or a pencil? Do you get confused? Should you use computer? Should you use a pen and a pencil? Either way, journaling is quite beneficial. I'm also going to do a video on that. There is a little bit more benefit to doing it by hand, but the emotional and mental well-being that comes from journaling can happen by using a computer and by using a notebook and a pen. So I think the whole point is just do it to get some thoughts and feelings and opinions and things like that out on paper, as well as all these things that I'm going to mention. So let's start. I didn't even count how many I had. I have a lot, okay? Some I'll explain, some I'll just, you don't need explanation. Probably the first one that most people think about is a gratitude journal. If you want to do something, if you want to do a type of journaling that has been scientifically proven to improve a more positive outlook on life, decrease depression and anxiety, then gratitude is it. I would encourage you, try to do 1,000 a year. That's 3 a day. Okay, you'll have a little more than 1,000 by the time you finish. 3 a day. You just need a tiny little notebook. You don't need a giant one. And 3 things you're grateful for. I would also encourage you not to repeat what you're grateful for. That make it a little more challenging as time goes on. And you can just write out grateful for what, because of what. If you just want to write a little bit more than just a list, I'm grateful for coffee because why? All right. You can also write, I'm glad I don't have to live without. I'm glad I don't have to live without, which will also help you figure out things that you're grateful for. I'm glad I don't have to live without. Also, be grateful for hardships. You know, a lot of times we think we has to be all positive or things like that, but be grateful for hard feelings, hard events, the person who cut you off in traffic, because you're always going to learn something from those hard things, which you can be grateful for. So again, a gratitude journal, probably the most impactful thing you can do for your outlook on life is a gratitude journal. Now, just to explain what I do, I used to keep a totally separate journal. I used to do it in my process journal. I've done it many different ways. Right now, what I do is and maybe you can find some friends. I have 3 friends. I email them in the morning. We email back and forth as a group. We write down what we're grateful for. We put something inspirational in there, a small thought or feeling, and then like our intention for the day. Really helpful. And I've been doing that for, oh my gosh, 8 years. So it's gone from journaling all my gratitude things in a book to journaling it in an email and sending it to my friends. Great way to be accountable and still get the benefits of being grateful and to hear what they're grateful for too and what's going on in their lives. It's kind of a fun way to keep in touch and learn as well. All right, other things that you could do on a daily basis. Glimmers, the little things that sparked joy in your day. So this one might be an end of the day kind of journaling exercise. Glimmers, the little things that spark joy in your day. You could do it the next morning, things that spark joy in your day the day before. Wins also could be at the end of the day or talking about the day before. Your gold star moments or actions of the day that you call wins. Okay, glimmers and wins. You could just write out what you did. You could write out a to-do list. Many of you are journaling already. If you make lists, grocery lists, to-do lists, that is a form of journaling. You probably already realize or get that lowers your nervous system, lowers your anxiety to put those things on paper so you don't have to carry them around in your head. So easy as what you did and what you or a to-do list. You can go on the internet and find prompts. Oh my gosh, there are so many prompts out there. Find a prompt and write about it every day. You could take a scripture and write it out and write your thoughts. You can find a quote, write it out, write your thoughts. Song lyrics, if something stands out in a song, write those out and write your thoughts. Like, why is it standing out to you? What is it that's made it stand out? Morning pages. This is also not a new idea. This is, her name is escaping me. I wish I'd written it down. Very popular morning pages. It's writing 3 pages front and back of just what's going on in your head every morning, all right? Some people use big notebooks, 3 pages front and back. You could have a small one to get started with maybe. What I have found with morning pages, and it's just me, you may do this for 10 years. I did it for about a year and that was good. I learned a lot about myself then. I didn't need to go back and write 3 pages every day. The only time I particularly do that now is when something hard has come up or I'm processing something or I'm deciding something. Then I might go back to 3 pages a day. You can just write thoughts I've been thinking. It's a great way to mind dump, all right? Dump your thoughts I've been thinking. Write out a memory. Maybe something's been coming up. Maybe you had a dream. Dreams are also good. I didn't even put that on a card. Dreams, recording your dreams is also a great thing to do every day. But maybe you have a memory that's been coming up. Write about it. All the details, all the feelings, and put that in your journal. You could write, today I noticed. What did you notice today? Maybe about yourself. Maybe about life in general. Maybe about your dog. Maybe about your kids. At work, what did you notice? So anything that you noticed, you could also write on a daily basis. Currentlies. Gosh, I did a whole thing on currentlies in another video. And there's so many, all right? You could do this every day, one a day, and write about it. But I don't know if you remember, I showed you there are stamps that have all kinds of currently things in it. So let's see if I can put a piece of paper under here so you can see better. But saving, writing, helping, making, noticing, seeing, saying, working on, buying, documenting, focusing on, dreading. Oh, there's so many. Look, all of those, plus all of these. Okay, and then I came in there we go. Maybe without the shine on it. But there's those. Then there's these stamps, which are also currently stamps. You can get sticker books from Mojo Jojo Plans that are all currently making, manifesting, organizing, goal, hating, loving, decluttering, teaching, supporting. Okay, stickers with all of these things that you could write down every day for a currently. Easy. That's an easy and a fun one if you want to try some stamps or some stickers. All right. Lots of currently. You could write down your intention for the day. You could write your thoughts about a movie or a TV show or a podcast that you've watched or listened to. You could write a peaceful moment today. Like what moments in your day were peaceful? You could do a sketch. That is actually considered journaling as well. Art journaling, but a sketch or a watercolor. You could write something down that inspired you today. Maybe it's something you read. Maybe it was a person you met. Maybe it was the beautiful sunset. All right. Prayers, ones that you're praying for other people that might need prayers or yourself. You could write what you learned today. Maybe in general what you learned or about yourself. Now that's always a good one, right? A little more self-awareness. You could describe your day in 3 words. That would be an easy one. Again, a small little notebook would be great for any kind of journaling. Any kind of journaling is going to help you with your emotional and mental well-being. Right? You could describe the 3 words a day that you like, the kind of day you want or the kind of day you had. Okay. And again, you could do that at night. You could do it in the morning, whatever works. 1 or 2 lines about your day. Like, what do you want to remember about today? Could be something you did. It could be a thought you had. Just 1 or 2 lines about your day. You could use that to document about your kids. All right. So again, all kinds of ways to journal. Maybe a takeaway from something you read, maybe a Bible or an inspiration book. You know, they have those daily inspiration books. Not all of them are religious oriented, but or a poem a day. And if you read that, what could you write about it? And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes of journaling. As you can tell, if you wrote 3 words down, that'd probably take you less than a minute. All right. But this one might be a little longer, a takeaway from something you read. You could write down your current mood and corresponding thoughts, because usually they are so linked together. Sometimes our mood affects our thoughts. Sometimes our thoughts affect our moods. See which way it is for you and what's going on. You could write, glad I did each day. I'm glad I called my brother or something like that. You could write more this, less that. Again, both of these would be good at night or the next morning. So just pick your time to journal. That's all. All right. Any way to make this a habit you will find beneficial. I do mine in the morning. Sometimes I do a little bit at night, but most of my journaling is in the morning. More of this, less that. So if I was looking at yesterday, I would like more what from yesterday and less of what from yesterday. Maybe, more patience, less impatience and more what? Quiet time. All right. I think you get it. You could take 1 word and do a free association. So fall is coming. Take the word pumpkin and just free associate to pumpkin and see where you go. Maybe set a timer. 5 minutes of free associating to the word pumpkin. Doesn't matter. Look around your house. Pick what you see. A clock, a vase, a flower, a chair, a comfy blanket, and then free associate for 5 minutes and see what happens. You could keep a list of questions that keep coming up. Sometimes I keep a list of questions that I come up that I want to look up on the internet. All right. Sometimes it's questions for somebody. Most of the time it's a question about something I want to look up on the internet. A list of questions. Might be good at night before you go to bed. That might help clear your mind. Again, you can always write out your feelings. You can always write out decisions like pros and cons. Write about which one of the things you're deciding would fit your word of the year or your vision for your month, your week, your season, your year, your life. So which one of those decisions would be closer to your vision? Write out a needed conversation. Maybe you need to have a hard conversation with your spouse or a good friend or your boss at work. Write it out. That always helps. So you know what to say. understand what you're feeling, that kind of thing. Lists of tons and tons of things you could just list. If you go back in my videos, I do have a list of 100. Gosh, I can't remember what the name of that video is. Maybe I'll link it in the description. But it's a list of 100 ways to do something. Who knows? Maybe it's 100 ways to love yourself, 100 ways to be a butterfly, 100 ways to bring more peace into your life. Or it could be 10. All right, it doesn't have to be 100. 100 is a therapeutic tool, and if you watch that, you'll get more information about that. But 10 ways to bring more peace in your life, all right, or your days. You can write out bucket lists for like your fall bucket list, travel bucket list. Lists. Great way to journal, all right? Brainstorming, any idea. So like when I was thinking about what kind of journals I thought or journaling you could do on a daily basis, I was brainstorming, and I could probably do it again and come up with more, but I thought I could just go on and on. So I thought I'd stop with what I have. All right. So brainstorming ideas. For example, here's one, and I've done this before. Somebody gave me a gift. I really liked it, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I brainstormed ways to use that item until I figured out how I wanted to use it. All right. So brainstorming ideas. Again, expressing opinions. I think I sort of mentioned that when we're talking about like an opinion about a movie you're watching or a book you're reading, that kind of thing. I do this in the morning. I meditate. Sometimes it's guided. Sometimes it's just sitting and breathing. And then I journal afterwards. I could log how it went. I did 10 minutes and probably concentrated 5, if that. So I could write down how it went, how long I did it. So a log and how it went. But I could also write the thoughts that kept popping up, which is good insight. Things that are on my mind usually are the things that keep popping up. Or maybe it's a memory and I'll write that out. So again, meditate and then journal. That's a fun way to journal. And then, as I mentioned, a log. Journaling can be a log of all kinds of things, like whatever habit that you would like to encourage in your life. You could keep a log of it in a notebook, like how much water you drink, or your steps, or if you journaled, or your medicines, if you're taking any exercise, meditation. You could keep track of letter writing, your periods and your moods, pregnancy journal, a log of things. All right, so most logs are facts, okay? Maybe not a lot of feelings unless you're doing your periods and your moods, but it's a lot of factual information. But feelings can be factual. I felt down today. That's just might be a fact. So any kind of log keeping is a journal. So those are all kinds of ways that you can keep a daily journal. And I know there's so many more. Some of these could be its own journal. Some of them you could incorporate in a daily journal. Like I said, I keep track of what I did this day. Sometimes I do prompts. Sometimes I write out an opinion. Sometimes I write about the book I'm reading, a movie I've watched, that kind of thing. So it kind of incorporates a lot of these things. Now my process journal, which I will do what I call more therapeutic journaling in another video, does a lot of the brainstorming and decision making, feelings and things like that. All right. So that's that. I hope this was helpful. I hope it encourages you. Again, you don't need giant notebooks. You don't need to write a lot of things to get the benefit of journaling. Pen to paper or writing on a computer, going to get the same benefit. I will at some point tell you why writing by hand has a few more benefits. But for now, just know journaling is very beneficial. No matter how much you do, I think it's more of a consistency than how much. If you consistently wrote 3 gratitudes a day, you might want to log how your view changes of life, or if you have depression or anxiety, how that changes. All right. So I want to thank you for being here. Again, if you like this video at all, please hit the like button. If you have a way that you journal every day that I did not mention, please mention it so other people have the idea as well. And may you be peaceful, may you be healthy, may you get to write or be creative today. And thanks again for being here.